Hey everybody! If you are all caught up with your math, then you should be watching the Unit 2 review with me. Instead of working through every single problem with you one right after the other, I decided to show you the key and go through it quickly with you so that you could pause it, rewind it, do whatever. If I work it out with you, it's going to take like 20 minutes to do that, and the video is going to be way too long for you. So on your review, you actually still have this in your packet. This is the very last set of papers in your packet. This is it. This is the end of the packet. So from here on out, it will be all electronic. Ooh. And I know you guys have enjoyed having some of these so that you could write on them, and I'm sorry about that. For the very first section on your review, you'll see how the directions say write each algebraic expression. Write each as an algebraic expression. So this is taking us back old school. This is actually 6th grade type stuff. You've already done this. You've already mastered this, so this is real easy. The quotient of z and 4. Quotient means divide. So you need to just show me you're dividing z and 4. Number 2, the difference of a number and 9. Difference means subtract. And since it says a number, that's a variable. That's an unknown. So you could pick whatever variable you wanted. I just chose x. On number 3, 4 less than n. Less than means subtract, and it is tricky. Less than is where it's telling you that that 4 is the smaller number. So we need to take him away from n. So n minus 4 is what we end up with. Less than, very, 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 very tricky. Number 4, the product meaning multiply of n and 8. As you know, we prefer to see it like this, side by side multiplied, with the coefficient 8 being written first. But any of these are acceptable. Okay, numbers 5 through 10. In numbers 5 through 10, it says simplify each expression. So you're just going to do what you can here. You may have to combine like terms, distribute, whatever it calls for you to do. Here we are combining these terms. 3b's plus 7b's make 10b's. On number 6, we were able to combine our m's. 2m plus 5m makes 7m's. And then 4 and 9 are my constants, and they come together to make a 13. Just watch out for any negative signs, okay? Then on number 7, we must distribute the negative 5. He's our factor, so we have to do negative 5 times v. We end up with negative 5v. Here's where things are tricky. I brought down the minus sign, but watch this. I'm going to use this to cover it up. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. Now we've got an issue here. So it actually looks like this. Negative 5v plus 20. Remember, minus a negative is the same as adding the opposite there. Number 8, we must distribute the factor of 8. So 8 times x is 8x. I brought down my minus sign. 8 times 7 is 56. So 8x minus 56. On number 9, we need to distribute. Then we can combine if necessary. So I just brought down my negative 10m, brought down my plus sign. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2m is 4m. Now we combine negative 10m's plus 4. I got more on the negative, so I'm going to end up with a difference of negative 6m and bring down my plus 2. On number 10, we have to distribute again. Negative 9 times 9 is negative 81. Negative 9 times 3n is negative 27n. Now I brought down my plus sign and made him negative just so I could see that. And then I brought down my minus 3. I can combine my negative 27n and that's actually a negative 3, and my negative 3n. They make a negative 30n. I could put him first. Remember, the commutative property tells me it doesn't matter what order. So I have negative 81 minus 30n, or this could also be written as negative 30n minus 81, or plus negative 81, whichever works for you. Alright, the next set of directions I think continue on to the next page, and it just basically says, hey, solve each equation. So right here on the first page, you're looking at actually simple one-step problems, and yes, you will encounter these on the test that I share with you. Here, I needed to get rid of my minus 19, so the opposite is to add him. And over here, negative 39 plus 19 is negative 20, is my value of P. On number 12, I need to get rid of my minus 2, so the opposite is to add him to both sides. The value of P is 10. On number 13, these are tricky. Remember, I'm dividing. I must multiply to cancel. I'm actually multiplying by 15 over 1, which causes these to cancel each other, because this is like a fraction. And 16 times 15 is 240 for the value of V. On number 14, I need to get rid of my 19 by subtracting him from both sides. The value of A is negative 18. Okay, let's look at the next page. Here, on number 15 and number 16, we're still doing one step. So number 15, I've got 13 times V. I need to get rid of that 13 by dividing him from both sides. And 13 divided by 13 is 1. V is 1. On number 16, I need to get rid of the negative 20, because he's attached to the A, by adding his opposite. So that's a positive 20. And over here, the difference is 1. Oh, they're both 1. A is 1 over here. Okay, when we get to 17, we're getting into our realm of two-step. And I've tried to make this progress for you. So number 17 is a two-step problem. If you recall the rules, the first thing we do is get rid of addition and subtraction. So we tackle that first. So here I need to get rid of my negative 9 by adding 9 to both sides. I'm left with x divided by 2 equals 3. Now I'm down to a one step. I need to multiply both sides by this 2, it's really 2 over 1, to get rid of him. X is 6. On number 18, I'm going to go the same route. I got to get rid of this 10 that's being added first. So I subtract 10 from both sides, and I'm left with 80 equals 4R. And now I need to get rid of my coefficient of 4. So I divide both sides by 4, and the value of R is 20. Number 19, and I'm going to kind of cover this up because it can be kind of confusing when you see so much at once. On number 19, we need to get rid of this 6 first. So we subtract him from both sides, and then I'm left with V divided by 4 equals negative 3. I got to get rid of my 4. I'm dividing, so I must multiply by 4 on both sides. And remember, that's really 4 over 1. It's just hard to see that one. So the value of V is negative 12. Watch out for your negative signs too. And you know what? You guys can use a calculator, so that will be handy to you. On number 20, I need to get rid of my 6. Too many 6's around here. Get rid of that 6 by subtracting him from both sides. And then I'm left with negative 5x equals negative 50. I divide both sides by that coefficient of negative 5, and x is positive 10. Number 21 and 22, now we're getting into not necessarily two-step equations, but this is where we're having to now combine terms, or we're getting into the distributive and stuff like that. So I'm trying to go from how we started and progress up to where we've ended with our inequalities. So number 21, we have negative 2p plus 8p. Well, I need to go ahead and combine those. When I combine them, I'm left with 6p equals 6. I divide both sides by my coefficient of 6, and the value of p is 1. Over here, I can combine my a's. 2a minus 3a leaves me with a negative 1a. Remember, I don't need the 1 in front of it. Then minus 1 equals negative 6. I need to now add 1 to both sides. Now, I could have done this earlier, but remember, now that we're getting to where we have stuff to combine it, then add, subtract, then multiply, divide. So now I have negative a, remember that's really negative 1a equals negative 5. We can't have that variable be negative. So we must divide both sides by that negative 1 that's our coefficient. Even though he was hidden, he's still there. And when we do, the value of a is positive 5. Alright, here's, it's getting a little bit harder. Here we must distribute. So we have to take our factor of 3 and distribute him. 3 times 7x is 21x. And then I brought down my minus. 3 times 5 is 15. Now let's work from here. It's a two-step problem from here. Add 15 to both sides to cancel these. Now I have 147 is equal to 21x. And we divide both sides by 21. And x is now 7. And at any time you're confused, go back and plug that value of x in, or any variable, and see if you got it right. Check it. Okay, over here we need to distribute the 4. He's our factor. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 6b is 24b. Now time to work the two-step. Got to get rid of the 4 by subtracting him from both sides. I have 192 is equal to 24b. I divide both sides by 24, and b is 8. Now notice there's no distributing here, but that's fine. I've got variables on both sides. I got to put them together. I chose to take my minus 2a and move him to the left-hand side so they'd be positive. That was why I chose that. But it doesn't matter if you move this little guy over here or not, you're still going to get the same value for your variable. As long as you work everything correctly and you watch those signs, you'll get the same answer. So now I have 3a minus 1 equals 8. We add 1 to both sides. 3a equals 9 and divide both sides by 3. The value of a is 3. On number 26, I chose to add my 3 n's to both sides and move them all to the left. Here, I end up with negative 2n minus 4 equals 2. I add 4 to both sides to move my constants to the right. I'm left with negative 2n equals 6. I divide both sides by negative 2, and the value of n is negative 3. Okay, last two on this page. I have to distribute, then I got to rearrange. So these two were some of the harder ones. I distribute 4 times 5x, I get 20x, and I've just brought all this straight down. 4 times 6 is 24. Now I'm rearranging. I take my 7x's from over here, move them to the right hand side. I had to subtract to do that. So on the left, I'm left with negative 2 equals 13x plus 24. Now I've got to move my constant of 24 to the left with negative 2. So over here, they're both negative. I get negative 26 equals 13x. I divide both sides by 13, and x is negative 2. On 28, I have to distribute the 6. 6 times b is 6b. Bring down my minus. 6 times 4 is 24. I just brought all this down. Now time to rearrange variables and constants. I chose to move all the variables to the right hand side, but you don't have to. You could have done the left. Either one would work out. When I do, I have negative 24 equals negative 14b plus 18. Now I need to get rid of my 18 by subtracting him on both sides. I have negative 42 equals negative 14b. I divide both sides by negative 14, and my value of b is 3. The last page is definitely the hardest, and on your test I will be editing some of it so it doesn't have some of the most complicated of problems. And I'm going to kind of skip over some of these just because I am going to edit them. Since we've not been in the classroom together, I don't want you working on some of this stuff, I've not been able to thoroughly go through with you because it's just too complicated via online learning. I will go ahead and tell you that 29 and 30 are very easy, and that is back 6th grade math easy stuff. 29 talking about Carrie buying bulk candy. She buys 1,000 candy bars for $350. What's her unit cost? You're just dividing here. She's actually paying 35 cents per candy bar. 30, Jeff read to his brother for 3/4 of an hour. How long did he read? I really felt like a picture model might be best for you there. He read for 45 minutes. You guys should know 1 hour, 60 minutes. If I split it into fourths, that's 15-minute segments. All right, number 31, solve this one. And I solved it out here to the side. You solve it just like those two-step problems. So I'm just going to kind of let you take a look at that. Then on number 32, I'm giving you a graph and I'm asking you which inequality is graphed here. My recommendation on number 32, this is not a hard problem, but I will tell you that on this problem, you have to be careful. First of all, did you notice how I'm showing you that I got -1 and +1 here? Like I literally solved all 4 of these problems to see what I got. So yes, you'll have to solve them all 4 to see which one's going to give you some number is greater than or equal, that's a solid circle, greater than or equal to 1. And remember, we want that variable written first. A lot of you guys were messing up on that on your practice. So go back and look at that, okay? Number 33, I will be taking out any problem like this one because it's just going to be too much. We've not been doing with mixed numbers as much here, so I'm just going to void any of those. So void, completely void that. I will tell you on 34, I used deductive reasoning because what I did here to use deductive reasoning was the first thing I did was rewrite this so I know what it's talking about. Some number is greater than or equal, it's a solid circle, to 1/2. Okay, so I know when I solve these, that's what I'm looking for. So I worked on moving my variables to see which one would still have the correct sign. Okay, I'm also going to void on your exam any like this. And then number 35, this one takes us back to 6th grade stuff. Easy peasy. How much more expensive is it to buy a ticket in New York than Atlanta? Over here is your baseball ticket prices, and you're literally finding the difference between the costs, which is subtraction. And it is $14.17 more. Alright. Now, you guys know if you have any questions, just send me some messages via Google Chat, or creepily, I'll be watching you on Go Guardian.